Hello everyone, I'm Ribus2099. Now sit back, relax, and get a nice big bowl of popcorn and some lemonade because I'm about to review every Marvel movie, every MCU movie in from worst to first. And I will be doing it in 1 minute with 2 pros and 2 cons, hopefully. But let's get started. I have my clock over here, so we're starting number 23, Hulk. The Incredible Hulk. Number one, my first pro is I love Edward Norton, and I love some of the casting in this. I love that Abomination is the first villain. Those are really my 2 pros. I love how they are. My 2 cons, alright? My first con is really I don't feel that it's really a part of the MCU anymore. It just kind of feels like a side movie. And if they kept Edward Norton as Hulk, I felt I would have liked it more. My second con is he looks so gross and kind of displeasing. It doesn't become enjoyable after you've looked at him for almost 2 hours. And this could have had better CGI, but I'm still happy with Mark Ruffalo. I still like this movie, but it's definitely not my must watch for MCU movies. And with that said, casting was great. It was enjoyable. Nice end credit scenes. And let's move on to the next one. Alright. Now, today we're talking. Now, number 22 is Thor, The Dark World. Let's get that clock started. Alright, so Thor, The Dark World. It has great bondage between Thor and Loki. They really become brothers. There's a lot of good parts between fights. I love some of the fights. And I gotta say, Malekith was pretty cool. He looked nice. He looked interesting. I definitely wish that he was more comic bookish, but still great, still enjoyable, still a fun movie that I definitely can picture myself watching on a random Tuesday night. And it's a great number, like 22. It's sort of like not too good, but still good. My first con, I don't like the Dark Elves. I don't like their real presence in it. And my second con is I don't like how much it relies on Thor's love interest. It really does rely on it, and it kind of makes it annoying. With that said, Thor the Dark World, number 22. Now, for number 21 is Iron Man 3. Now, I love Iron Man 3. It's such a fun movie kind of to watch. I love the Hulk of Armors, and I do enjoy Mandarin being Ben Kingsley, and especially him being a fake Mandarin. It's fun and it's nice to see. Now my first con is I really didn't like Aldrich Killian, didn't care for him, didn't really enjoy him. My second con is I felt that the movie relied too much on terrorism. And it also really did rely on Tony Stark learning and having these problems. But it's definitely not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I definitely enjoy this Marvel movie, and I definitely can picture myself watching this on a Thursday night. It's definitely a good weekend movie, and still enjoyable. Nice action scenes. Now, number 20 is Thor 1. Now, Thor 1. Ooh, I love this movie. For first pro, I love the amount of fish out of waterness between him and others. He really feels like he doesn't belong. That's just enjoyable to see. It's fun to have and great to know. My second pro is I really enjoy the bondage between him and his father. And my first con is I don't like how Loki sort of just goes away. I kind of wish that he had a better ending to him at the end of the movie. Also, Heimdall was good, but he definitely wasn't good in this movie. He wasn't as enjoyable as he is in others. And now on to number 19, which is Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2. Now, my first pro, I love Michael Rooker, and I love Chris Pratt. Those are my two pros. They're great actors, and Nebula really feels like she's becoming a character. She doesn't feel like, oh, I'm the daughter of Thanos. That's my one character trait. She really does become a character. It's enjoyable and it's fun. My first con, Ego doesn't feel like a real villain throughout the movie. And then my second con is Yondu dies, my favorite character. He was my favorite character in the MCU for a while, but then they just killed him off. Anyway, that's sort of annoying. Alright, on to number 18, which is Age of Ultron. And this movie is fun. It's fun to see, really. It's fun to have sort of the Avengers together, but then get being divided every 10 seconds. I really do like the introduction of Wanda. She has become quickly one of my favorite characters. I can't wait for a Disney Plus TV show. And I definitely enjoyed her in this movie. My first con, I do feel that they really could have had Quicksilver live a little more. If he stayed for at least another Avengers movie, then we got to really know him and he became a good character, then it would be worth watching him die. It's sort of like, oh yeah, the character from the beginning of the movie dies. But I did like the kind of I did really not enjoy most of the time when I did not enjoy the ending where the Avengers sort of just fall apart. Where Tony goes away, Thor goes away, Cap goes away. Well, Cap stays. But it really doesn't feel like, hey, we just had this giant world class threat come knocking at our door. Let's get defeated. Number 17 is Iron Man 2. Now, I love Whiplash. I do feel that my number one con is he doesn't belong in this movie. He belongs in Iron Man 1. He belongs to be with Obadiah Stane. They both copied his suit, and that could have been more fun to watch and cool to see. My first pro, I love Don Cheadle as a War Machine now. He's better than I feel than Terrence Howard was. And also, I did love Justin Hammer. Sam Rockwell is amazing. That was great to see. And then my second con, since I already said Whiplash doesn't belong in this movie, is the kind of how they sort of just after a while shoehorned Peter Parker being that little kid later. I mean, when I first saw the movie, I was like, oh hey, Tony saves that little kid, that's great. And then they're like, yeah, that's Peter Parker. Woo! I'm like, okay, why didn't you have him like take off his mask or something? Or like have Peter remember it or something. Nah. It was just a little annoying. Number 16 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. So this movie is good and it's on Netflix. I would recommend watching it if you haven't already. But number one, my first pro is I love the characters in this. I mean the actors in this. Paul Rudd is fantastic. Evangeline Lilly, all of them are fantastic. I feel that the movie is worth the summer release. Sometimes they aren't, but it was fun. You know, it was enjoyable, and I definitely enjoyed it. I can't wait to see more of them, and we'll see. My first con is why did they have Ghost be the villain? Ghost isn't really a villain. She's just sort of like, I was here, I want that, I have problems, I'll act like a villain. And it wasn't really enjoyable to see her be the villain. There could have been more fun scenes between them with fighting, but they decided to take them out. And then my second pro, and then my second con was they really didn't. They talked about Goliath and they hinted at it, but they never showed a tape or anything, which would have really made me happy. And if they did that, I would have loved this movie even more. Number 15 is Captain Marvel. Ooh, this is a good movie. Of course, I know why some people don't like it, so I sort of was. I'm not saying I was catering to them, I was sort of just saying I understand why you don't like her, so I'll just put it sort of in the middle, and it feels very Phase 1-ish, and it's definitely, it has some fun action scenes, but not enough to really make me be interested the entire movie. My first pro, of course, is Talos. My second pro, Nick Fury and Captain Marvel and Goose. They're great characters, fun. My first con, and this sort of counts as my second one, is what's his name? The Kree guy. What's his name? You know them. You know him. Yanrog. I remember his name. I had a problem with him. He's not really a good villain because he is not a villain. He's just sort of a guy with different ideals. It's annoying. Number 14 is Doctor Strange. Ooh, this movie is good. My first pro, Benedict Cumberbatch. I was really on the rocks with him, but he proved. My second pro is Tilda Swinton, and most of the casting. It's actually a great cast of characters. They're enjoyable, they're fun, they're cool to see mess up. I never thought I would enjoy saying that. My first con is that originally it felt like they were just taking a pretty interesting character, the Ancient One, and just deciding to make her a woman for no reason. But I've grown to love her, so that's good. My other one is Dormammu just feels kind of shoehorned in. It doesn't feel like he was a main antagonist. But otherwise, pretty good. Number 13 is Black Panther. Now, this was a great movie to see. Um, I love the addition of sort of the man ape. And number one, this is the best pro. Eric Killmonger is most likely my favorite villain of all time. He's great. He's enjoyable. He's fun. And I enjoy him definitely more than I thought I would. Um, because he's a guy who has a very corrupt ideal, and he's very interesting at most. And my first con, I don't like that Claw died. He was very interesting. He could have been a better character if he survived a little longer. I would have liked it more. And also, I don't really like that they just, out of the blue, talked about Wakanda this soon. I felt like they should have at least waited a while. Maybe the second movie, that would have been better to do. But, still good. Number 13 is Spider-Man Homecoming. I loved this movie for one reason. Michael Keaton. He's a great actor, and he's a great villain. He was my first pro. My second pro is I do like Aunt May being more of a mom to Peter, teasing him, playing, having fun with him, messing with him. I loved that. She felt very much like a mom, where sometimes Aunt May just feels like, I'm the elderly character that you're supposed to care about. Um, but still enjoyable, still fun. My first con is I definitely did not like that Shocker was just sort of like, hey, I'm the Shocker man, I'm the Shocker. Ooh. My second con was that they really sort of didn't talk about Uncle Ben. Peter's, to me, I could talk about this for an entire video. He still feels like he's the kid who was boxing. He got these powers, he's using them, they're his. That's all. He doesn't feel like he's learned. So, I don't feel any sympathy towards him. Number 11 is Thor Ragnarok. Thor really learned himself in this movie. Number 1, my first pro, is Thor. I've really appreciated him more and more. He's becoming a better character. He proves that he's doesn't need Mjolnir. My second pro is Hela. She's the best villain, probably. If I take a look, if I watch every MCU movie back to back, she might be my favorite villain of all time. But we'll see. My first con is it sort of felt very like, yeah, we're gonna keep Loki alive only to kill him. I'm getting tired of Loki dying and then coming back. It's annoying. It's a little annoying character trait that he has. But all that said, pretty fun. My other big gripe with it is Asgard sort of just being destroyed. I felt that they could have at least saved it and had more interesting scenes in Endgame if it was survived. Also, I don't like that Odin sort of just died of old age. I felt like he should have at least lost control and Hela should have killed him. That would have been more interesting. Number 10, this is the top 10. These are sort of the big ones, my favorite ones, the most quotable. And these are all my opinion. Do not change. Don't unsubscribe from me because I have different opinions. That's weird. Number 10 is Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not going to even go into pros and cons right now. Because I sort of already talked about them with Guardians 2. But just so you know, I showed this to my family, and we own 3 DVD copies and 7 digital. I'll just let you kind of let that sink in. Number 9 is Avengers Infinity War. Avengers Infinity War, man. I loved it. My first pro, I loved seeing Cap and Black Widow back. They're great characters. I'm glad that they're finally back in the MCU. Um, but my other big gripe with it, is I don't feel like we get enough time of kind of like bonding with the Avengers. We get that more in Endgame, which I like. My other big gripe with it is sort of how Nebula knew. This is more relevant to Endgame, but I'll say it anyway for this. Nebula knew that Thanos killed Gamora on Vormir. Why didn't she at least tell Hawkeye and Natasha um, that, hey, if you go here, you're gonna die to get the stone back. It's a soul for a soul. She just should have at least done that. But I still did like it. Iron Man was great. He's my other pro. Number 8 is Civil War. Now, I loved my first pro is Crossbones was a great sort of like Avengers villain. He's not like a big threat, but he's definitely a commando unit threat. Still enjoyable, still fun. I definitely did like Tony sort of being pulled into it. He wasn't forced into it. He was pulled into it by that lady who sort of said, like, my son died. His blood is on your hands. That was good. It was also at the time in the MCU where it sort of felt like every character was alright. They weren't risking too much fighting, so that's why I would have preferred to see Quicksilver die in it. That would have been better. Number 7 is Far From Home. Now, this movie had a great character. Number 1, great Mysterio. Number 2, I do like MJ more and more. I did not like her in the first one. I was like, oh, she's annoying. But now she's really evolved as a character. My first big gripe with it is Peter still, again, feels like he's a kid who got powers. He doesn't feel like he's learning anything. And I hope he does in the next movie. And I can't go into too much talk about it, 'cause spoilers. But my other big gripe is a lot of people know who Spider-Man is. MJ, Ned, and probably everyone on the trip knows. And that's a little bad, because Spider-Man always was sheltered and never talked about. Number 6 is Ant-Man. Now, this movie has a great cast. Again, like I said in Ant-Man and Wasp, great cast. Great villain. Yellow Jacket was enjoyable. And I'm getting into the one con territory. There's only one con I can really think of. And it's that it kind of could have, if Yellow Jacket seemed more of a threat, like more of a villain, I would have liked that. But he was still psychotic and enjoyable. Now we're in the top 5. I could basically take 5, make it number 1, make number 1 number 2, make number 4 number 3. I could change them all if I wanted to. But I'm fine with this for now. This is where I'm sticking at. Number 5 is Endgame. Whoa. I still enjoy this movie. The one problem that I had with this is that 9 out of 10 of my theories were right. I was right about the quantum realm, them going back to New York to get it, one of them having to sacrifice themselves. I did not say it was Black Widow. I originally said that if it was going to be anyone, it would be Nebula, but I'm glad that it wasn't Nebula. I also did not, but a lot of my theories were correct, which was annoying. But still fun. Still a good movie. Number 4 is Captain America Winter Soldier. Now, Winter Soldier is so interesting because it really feels like a spy movie to me. And I'm a big fan of James Bond and all that stuff and Mission Impossible, so it really felt kind of home for me. Number 3 is Iron Man 1. Now, Obadiah Stane was the best starter Iron Man villain. Because Iron Man villains have to be sort of related to Tech in a way, where he was sort of just Tony's friend who stole his suit and made his own. And that sort of was good. That was a good beginning. And it's, of course, a great origin story to Tony Stark, and it's definitely one of my favorite MCU films that I can just watch whenever